So let's talk about lifestyle, and let's talk about limiting our carbohydrate content. Let's avoid some ultra processed foods. Let's decrease the amount of added sugar. We can have fructose, but let's not have a large amount of fructose because carbohydrates put us in what we call a survival mode or a fat depositing mode. So we want to limit our carbs. If we did just that, we would be much better off and our health span would increase. We want to look to eat good quality proteins, look to eat good quality fats. That should be the basis of our macronutrient ingestion. Let's try and get some exercise. We all don't have to pump like Arnold or Ronnie Coleman or somebody like that, but let's get some good quality exercise. I had a patient come in today and he says, I don't like to lift weights. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, I don't like barbells and dumbbells and everything like that. I said, would you do a push up? Yeah. Well, that's a body weight. Would you use a TRX? Yeah. Would you do a pull up? Would you walk? He doesn't like the gym. Would you walk outside like the beautiful picture that Dr. Wells has behind? Would you want to walk in that forest or behind that window? Would you want to be outside and just walk around that building? I unfortunately am encased in this, ground floor place, but welcome to New York. You want to move. You want to walk. You want to get that exercise. And if you can do some high intense interval training, if your body allows you, the data indicates even 4 minutes of exercise will actually improve your health status. So they call that a Tabata. Then when you look at the supplements, I did give you a litany of supplements. Here's some easy stuff: multivitamin, multimineral, omega-3 fatty acid, vitamin D3 with K2, and a good pre and probiotic. If you start with that, that's great. And try and get the laser into your lifestyle. I just had somebody come up from the Midwest to get laser therapy every day, 2 to 3 times a day. And the change in his energy level, his long COVID symptoms, his approach to life changed. He came in like a dim light and now he's bright and he's shiny. So, I mean, I'm not saying that because I work for them, full disclosure. I'm saying because I use it on myself. I picked a laser up because I have congenital torticollis.
Mm.
So that's evident. People can see that there's an asymmetry of my neck. I did it because I needed to help myself because my neck is now fused and chiropractic adjustments were no longer available. And the results were great because I was more pain free, range of motion came back. And then again, I started to utilize this laser device, which has FDA clearances on my friends, my family, my wife first, always my wife, because I figure if I don't kill her, we can move on. Life is good. Probably just heard me in the other room. But in any case, and now it's a staple for patients. And I found it to be quite effective in this longevity mode.
You know, something you said in a conversation we had, I think a couple weeks ago, Rob, that really resonated with me for whatever reason. And it's just like sometimes people say things at the right time and it clicks. This was something you said. You said something to the effect of muscle tissue is the tissue of youth or something to that effect. I don't know if that's exactly what you said, but that's kind of what I heard. What stuck with me is for a lot of people when they hear about like resistance training and or just general exercise, exactly what you said, like I don't want to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, I don't want to be this like Hulk type person, but the reality of it is that muscle tissue and or muscle tone is one of the key factors to um, a health span, in terms of maintaining long term health. Maybe speak to the specific of kind of that intersection of how muscle tissue plays a role with that exercise, but then on top of that, how lasers can enhance all of that and kind of connect some of those dots together a little bit.
Fabulous. Well, I believe that muscle mass is the currency of longevity. That Dr. Gabrielle Lyons says muscle mass is the organ or the longevity organ.
The
So
longevity.
however you want to phrase it, right?
Yeah.
Great job. It's one huge takeaway. So it's not when we talk about muscle mass, we're not just talking about muscle mass. We're talking about having some muscle, some quality muscle. And if you think about it in chiropractic, if you get it back to that we're structure and posture guys, I mean, good quality muscle tone will enable us to have better structure.
Yeah.
What's my biggest problem? It's not the nerves, It's that my muscle tone in the area, part my SCM is shortened, my scalene is shortened, the other side is elongated, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, as a chiropractor, we always talk about the central nervous system, but I think one of the interesting things that we add to the conversation is muscle tone and balancing the muscle. And I don't think we talk about that enough. That alone, utilizing the laser where it can turn on and off muscles to have a proper tone, is a fabulous add. In addition, there was a 2016 study for performance, like muscle performance with elite sports athletes. And those who were lasered did considerably better than other elite athletes that weren't. So much so that at that particular games, they said they may ban laser unless it's accessible to everybody because it's an unfair advantage, like taking a steroid or something like that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and I think later before we get off, we definitely have to get into the idea of mitochondrial function because if you think
Absolutely.
about it, mitochondrial function goes across a couple of different parameters. Number one, it does talk about longevity. Number two, it talks about health, and number three, it really talks about performance. And to be frank, looking at it from a functional medicine lens, mitochondrial dysfunction is one of the biggest issues we have because when you look at what a mitochondria can do, mitochondria has immune system functions. It's energy producing, and the number one mitochondria organ in our body, our brain. And where are we without our brain? Now, I have been told that I've lived my whole life without a functioning brain, but I may be unique.
That's hilarious.